Welcome to today's lesson on applications of linear equations. In topic 1, it refers to a point-slope form of a line and a slope-intercept form of a line. The slope-intercept form of a line is y equaling mx plus b. The point-slope form we will discuss on the next page. Let's look at number 2. To get an equation in the slope-intercept form, we really want to rewrite our equation so it says y equals. Then we would like the x term first followed by a constant, but the focus now is get it to say y equals. So in number 2, let's distribute the 2/3. This will become y plus 1 equaling 2/3 x plus 18/3, or y plus 1 equals 2/3 x plus 6. Now, to get this to say y equals, I need to move the 1 to the right side of the equation. I need to subtract this 1, so it will then say y equals 2/3 x plus 5. We are now in what is referred to as slope-intercept form. The reason it is called slope-intercept form is because just looking at the equation, I can determine that the slope is the coefficient or the number in front of the x, and the y-intercept is the number or the constant on the end. Therefore, it is called slope-intercept. Another important detail of straight lines is their slope, and if two lines are parallel or perpendicular. If they are parallel, they will have equal slope. Now, slope is a number, so you would have the slope equal the same number for each of your lines in order for the lines to be considered parallel. Let's look here at number 4. The bottom equation of number 4 is already in the slope-intercept form. In other words, it says y equals something times x plus a number. Well, remember the coefficient of x is your slope. So the slope of that second line, that second equation, is 2/3. The top equation, we need to rewrite it so it also says y equals, so we can determine its slope. So I'm going to write it here to the side. Then I need to subtract 3x off of each side of this equation. I will then get 2y equaling negative 3x plus 8. To get this equation to say y equals, I now need to divide every term by 2. This results in y equaling a negative 2/3 x plus 4. So my top equation, now that it is written in slope-intercept form, I can determine the slope is negative 3/2. When I compare the two slopes of these two lines, they are definitely not equal, but they are perpendicular because perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. Negative reciprocals. This means they must be opposite in sign, one positive and one negative, and they also must be reciprocals, or informally known as flip the fraction of each other. So if I look at 2/3 and I flip it, take the reciprocal, I would get 3/2, and since they're opposite in sign, these two lines are perpendicular to each other. Topic 3 is determining slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines. Let's look at number 6. Again, take note. It is in slope-intercept form, so very quickly I can state the slope is the coefficient of x, or the slope is 2/5. Remember, slope is a number. There is no x variable attached to it. A parallel line would have the equal slope of 2/5. A perpendicular line would be opposite in sign, meaning it would be negative, and you would take the reciprocal of the fraction. Number 7, in order to answer that, you would need to rewrite that equation so it said y equals, so you then could notice what the slope is of that line. I'm going to skip down to number 10. I want you to notice in number 10, this equation is a special case. It does not have the x variable in it. It only has the y variable. When you have an equation of a line that only has the y variable, then you will be looking at a line that is horizontal. So a horizontal line is a y equals a number equation. Now, a horizontal line, often students memorize this, will have a slope of 0. So therefore, the slope of this line is 0. The slope of a parallel line would also be 0. A perpendicular line would mean to make the 0 negative, but 0 cannot be negative, and the reciprocal would be 1 over 0, which is undefined. Let's also look at number 8. It is uniquely different. Number 8, it only has the x variable. So this is a special case. There is no y variable. If I were to graph this, it would be a vertical line. So the equation of the line is x equaling 2, but the slope of the line is undefined. You may need to memorize this. So on number 8, the slope of the line is undefined. A parallel line to it would also have an undefined slope. A perpendicular line to it, and I'm graphing this now, a perpendicular line to it would actually be a horizontal line, which would be similar to number 10, and it would have a slope of 0. As we move to the next page, you can see the new topic is connected to college algebra, which states use the point slope formula. This is the other formula that was listed in the title. This formula is y minus y1 equaling m times x minus x1. And we often use this formula to write the equation of a line. So, to use this formula, I must have a point and I must have the slope, both of which have been given to me in the question. So, if my point is 6, 0, and my slope is 7/10, the first substitution would be to replace the m with the 7/10. Then I would notice that the given point should be labeled as x1, y1, meaning x1 is 6 and y1 is 0. Substituting those values in, I would have y minus 0 equaling 7/10 times x minus 6. Or this could be written as y equaling 7/10 x minus 42/10. I can simplify the 42/10, so this would then say y equals 7/10 x minus 21/5. This is the equation of the line, and we have written it in slope-intercept form, noting that if asked, the slope would be 7/10 and the y-intercept would be 0, negative 21/5. Number 2 is very similar. It gives you a point, asking again the equation of the line, and then it says parallel to this given line. So you would have to get the slope from the given line, 5x plus y equaling 3, by solving it as y equals and then using the coefficient of x as the slope of your line. Let's look at the application in number 3. it states a salesperson makes a base salary of $400 per week plus 12% commission on sales. It wants me to write a linear function to model the weekly salary. Well, the salary would equal the $400 plus the commission. The commission is 12% of sales. 12% of sales. Remember, the word of means to multiply, and we will let sales be x. So this would be 0.12 times x. So our salary is 400 plus 0.12x. Now I could write the word salary again, but in our question it wants me to write this in function notation, writing it or naming it as s of x. I believe you can move forward from here to continue the answers to these questions. I thank you for watching this entire lesson and sincerely hope it will help you understand this material.